My Life Between Lives story from Newton-trained Institute practitioners.
I see a whole change in the thrust of searching for answers about who we are and why we're here. And I think it's wonderful, and I just hope the movement continues to expand.
Let us expand the universal consciousness together with a My Life Between Lives story presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
I'm interested to know what are the problems that an LBL session can solve where other modalities cannot resolve.
So let me give you a couple of, may I share a couple of cases then?
Sure.
Okay. So there was a lady, and I've known her for a while socially. She's a person who hadn't read any book of Michael. She hadn't seen any book of, or seen any podcast of anybody in LBL or MNI. But a lady who had a basic understanding of spiritualism, and she had approached me for a session. All she had done with me was some talk therapy, a little bit of CBT, a little bit of emotion management technique, what I would call very, very beginner level work with, let me put it this way, no hardcore therapy done here, no hardcore regression work, none of that done. So she straight away said, I want to do LBL. So I said, well, we'll first do a past life regression and then we'll look at LBL. But one thing that I do weave into my work and which I share in, with my clients is, if there is a sub-personality of this lifetime who needs to be addressed in inner child, let's say, we will have to honor that first. And I would always recommend, let's honor what needs to be honored here and then guide you in. Maybe something gets resolved right away. Maybe there are challenges in the womb that needs to be addressed. So I would like us to go through that journey. And she was wonderful, she said, okay, let's go for it. Now, her past life regression session happened in an evening, beautiful, point to point, went very well. And she was calendared in for her LBL the very next day. And I had already prepared, I have a questionnaire that I share with my clients to get from them a very clear understanding, what is it that they want to address in the session. And then what I do is I pray and I put it out there as an intent for whoever's guiding us in whichever dimension, that this is the intent of the soul. This is what the soul wishes to reveal. This is what the mind of the individual, the human, is asking for. And may whatever she is ready or he is ready to receive, may it come with grace in the session. It was an exceptionally humbling session because here is a person who's never read any of Michael's books. And I was guiding her. In those days, I used to follow Michael's script to the T. Every comma, full stop was there for me. I was literally following the script to the T. She went into every stop. Her train stopped at every stop. She was able to tick literally. And I was like, wow, she's ticking all the boxes for her because we were getting the answers she needed, the clarity she was seeking. But what was most important and beautiful is when she went into the space with the council, and she had a guide present in the session. In her interaction in that space with the council, she got a whole lot of answers and clarity about what her life, she was in a bit of a crossroad about how life can pan out and what she's in this life for and so on. This is 2017 or 17, 18, if I've got my dates right, Apple. It's 2024. The lady has moved out of Dubai, completely changed her track in her career graph, in her personal space, doing exceptionally well with what she's chosen to move into. She's gotten into healing completely. She's given up corporate life totally. Very happy in the space she's chosen for herself. So I think one of the biggest things that LBL gifts an individual is, once you have this observer overview, disassociative understanding of what this journey is all about and what you have the capacity beyond limitation of value, the beliefs that you create, because beliefs can sometimes be very controlling. And when you go beyond that, when you move into a vibration or a frequency which is enabling you to look at your own life, and what are the things you can fine-tune and change and redefine and realign? Oh gosh, you just open up so many possibilities. And that is why we say that, love and abundance is something that can come into your space with ease and grace. But what you do with LBL is you go beyond the fear. Because any limitation, when you dig beneath limitations, is you will find fear at some level. And once that fear is faced, once that fear is understood, and you can rise yourself above that, you can disengage from that, LBL gives you that possibility. Because I feel for anyone, and it's very interesting when I say this, Apple, I'm happiest when very young people come for LBL. When a young person comes for an LBL session, it is so beautiful because as a facilitator, wow, this soul at a much early on earthly age is actually opening up their life force, their life capacity, their life potential to be able to engage at a gear and a velocity which is much higher. And can you then imagine what they can create for themselves? It's just phenomenal. And we want these souls, we want more and more of these souls to come forward and explore, experience, and then manifest.
What a profound story and enlightenment that you have brought to that, fortunate lady. And I have to agree with you that when I see someone who's younger come forward, well, we were thinking, okay, the world is all opening. Everybody's awakening. Everybody needs this spiritual transformation, and let's all do this work together. So it's really a wonderful thing, a phenomenon that perhaps is happening globally. And so I can see that you are also interested, or you are specialized in relationship healing, self-healing, manifest technique, and cell generation. I have a question for you in relation to the self-healing and cell generation. Help us understand more about this area.
So, when we were studying clinical hypnotherapy, one of the things that I remember which attracted me a lot is what brought me into the studying of this course. So, I have had an issue with my lung in the past, and that had led to 2 relapses when I was trying to be very careful and all of that. And that is actually what brought me into the world of clinical hypnotherapy, is to understand the connection between the physical body and the human mind. And at that point, these were the only 2 we were looking at. Now, there's a third point, which is the soul. So now, when I studied clinical hypnotherapy, we were studying a lot of the connection between the body and the mind. It made me started studying a little further and reading a little more, and going deeper and deeper into understanding that the cells hold memory. So if there's any trauma that if I put it very simply, let's say I've been through a trauma at a particular age, at a particular time, then the trauma energy is being stored in the cells of that part of me in that organ. So if I can start through guided visualization, through personification, start addressing that part of my body, that system, that organ, then I can make a certain shift, or I can try to create a certain shift. And this is where the soul level comes in, is also to go into a session where we experience from the soul's perspective, why did the soul choose the body that is having to go through whatever it's going through. So is there an ancestral factor there? Is there something that is karmic? Is there a leftover of other lifetime traumas? Is there something that, because I'm sure as a LBL therapist, even as a past life regressionist, many times when you're doing a past life regression, if a trauma was there held in the body of the past life personality, you have seen at the moment of the session, the client sometimes even feeling sensations in that part of the body, right, Apple?
Absolutely.
So if that's happening, that means there is a cell memory, but this body of this lifetime didn't experience it. So what is the cell holding on to? That means it's the soul's knowledge of a past life that the soul has experienced. But in this incarnation, when we start addressing it, we give the client the opportunity to release it. And that, imagine how much of healing you can give the organ.
And is that coming from the life between life therapy?
Yes, because when you do life between lives, you are going into that as well, right? I'll give you a very bizarre, because you talked about all the modalities I practice, right? So I'll give you a very bizarre, I'm calling it bizarre, but it's a fun mix that I try. I call it my own little cocktail, where you know about constellations, right? So
Yes.
when I studied so when I studied organizational constellation, uh, my teacher was also the person whose books I've read when I was doing the transpersonal regression work. So now I have his work with me. I've done LBL under Michael's scripts. So I've got all of that with me. And now I've studied organizational constellation. And I said, okay, why don't I try mixing something and seeing how it goes? So with a particular client, we started addressing. So she has diabetes. She was on medication and all of that. And I told her very honestly that I'm going to try something where I'm going to try and bridge and mix multiple modalities to see how this works. So in the session, I'll tell you how I mixed it. We actually personified the organs and the systems of her body. And in that, we brought in past life characters or past life personalities of different lifetimes, which could have had something to do with those organs of their body or those systems of their bodies. So now we are going into that across time space. And we are also calling in the session, this is where LBL is playing up, is to call in the guide. And see if the guide could give more input to the past life personalities, because the guide is familiar for the soul. Just one word for that session, it was wow. Even I was sitting in wonder after the session, because it enabled us to mix modalities. It enabled me to help the client who at this time, as I even speak to you, she's on base dosage, she's doing so much better. She's quite the spokesperson. But today when I see her and I see her functioning so well, I feel happy that I've had some little contribution in her own journey, because this is her soul's journey. I'm nothing but a person who her soul was able to manifest at that time to be able to even think of combining modalities and offering her something. So with her session, I was using the structure of constellation, but I was weaving LBL into it, and I was weaving the cell regeneration work that I do. And it's just using classical hypnotherapy modalities with LBL and using the structure of constellation.
What a beautiful gift you are. I think you yourself is a gift to humanity, whoever that comes forward to you to connect to light and the love. So what I can see that the healing covers 3 aspects. Number 1, current life, unhealed trauma, whatever events happened in the past, stored in the cells. And then there is past life memory, whatever issues we need to learn in the past, or disease, ailment, or the way that we died, those also stored in the soul memory, right? The soul memory. And then we go to another step further to experience that afterlife journey to see how we actually plan this life. Is that right? And the reason we chose this life and what are we supposed to learn, to uncover, to achieve in this life.
For that matter, may I share a very personal experience here with you that might just probably add another layer to this?
Please.
And so it's interesting that we're doing this session today itself. So just a year back, literally at this time, I had been diagnosed with something where they did find in the biopsy report that I had tested positive for cancer. So we all know, right? However evolved we are, the moment we hear the word cancer, it kind of shocks us. It kind of, rattles all of us. And I remember the day I got the biopsy report, that very evening, I was able to book in a session with a very dear friend and a colleague of mine who who has also studied hypnotherapy and practices it. And I said, I just want to talk to the organs, which are now going to, leave my body. And I also want to talk to the cancer cells. And I trust you to guide me through this session. And, Apple, it was a very beautiful session. I was able to see them in color. I was able to talk to them. I was able to understand why was my body going through what it was going through, what was the ancestral factor, the karmic factor, the soul level factor, went into every bit of it. So when I did this session, what it gave me was closure. And another thing that came to me was, in many of our journeys in this lifetime, when we go through surgeries, where our bodies have to say bye-bye to a particular part, an organ, I think it's a great idea, and I've done it myself, so I stand by this, is to do a proper, solemn closure, goodbye, thank you, appreciate all that you gave me, all that I got from you, and the fact that I'm saying bye-bye to you because you're going to be leaving my body. And then also speaking to the body to say, hello, after the surgery, they aren't here anymore, and you have to get used to the fact that you'll be functioning without them. And when I'm thinking and I'm talking to you, I'm wishing years ago when I have had other surgeries where certain organs have been moved out of my body, I wish I'd done them. So subsequently, I have been doing body talk again and again, where I visualize I'm talking to that part of my body or that organ. And then how LBL helps is to call my guide or to understand from a realm of a soul, why in this lifetime was I choosing these experiences? Because each of these experiences obviously has led understanding. And what does it give me? It gives me more love for my body. It gives me more acceptance for this beautiful body I have that's housing my soul in this lifetime. It gives me compassion. It gives me tremendous compassion for myself, but also for others who probably go through the journey of whatever they're struggling with in their body. So understanding the body, understanding that the body does speak to us, and understanding the connection of the soul, because the soul in the life selection room chose this body. So when we guide clients in our LBL session, through that segment where they're in the life selection room and they're choosing the body, they're choosing the personality, they're choosing all these experiences, they're choosing to be in the incarnation that they're in, why that body and why those experiences? So
how wonderful.
I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful I could share this with you.
I'm speechless by listening to your story. That is absolutely remarkable. And so what happened to the cancer cells?
Well, I did say bye-bye to them. And as I talk to you, I'm on standby for my 6-monthly test. We're supposed to go through that. And I think that's going to be, today's the 23rd, right? Yep. And I'm scheduled for the tests 10 days from now.
How exciting. We're looking forward to hear some great news. I trust the universe has a gift for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this very intimate story with us, and in viewing our position in MNI Institute and our responsibility with our community and human beings as a whole. What messages do you have for our audience?
I think one of the most important messages that I have, based on the region of the world that I'm practicing in, is you all have questions. We all have doubts. We all have insecurities. My one request is ask, seek, because the universe will give you just the kind of therapist or counselor or coach that you require to help you navigate through a particular phase of your life. So as a LBL facilitator, all I can say is the journey that we are on has a very deep spiritual essence. And in humanity today, I think what is very important is for us to understand and acknowledge and accept that we need each other. We need to reach out to each other. We are connected. And if we can believe in this connection and we feel we can reach out, then please do. Because when you truly reach out from your heart, there will be someone who will hear your call. And as M&I practitioners across the globe, I think that's one of the most important thing that we've committed to, is that we are here. And all one needs to do is to reach out. And it is true that today, thanks to social media, there is just so much available. There is so much of knowledge available, so much of learning life lessons, even some of the meditations that people share. You just need to open yourself to receiving. And when you open yourself to receiving, open it with that belief that I deserve this. I deserve to receive. Because when you open yourself to this belief that I deserve to receive, you will receive what is best for you. Don't limit that. Don't limit it, because the universe knows and the universe will give. And there is more than enough. There's such tremendous amount of abundance and love flowing, but you have to open yourself to believing. Go beyond that limitation. Don't allow your mind to hold you back. Trust that soul voice which is inside you. Spend a few minutes every day, however busy you are, just a few minutes alone with yourself. Don't do anything. Just close your eyes, sit with your breath. And in that silence, there is a voice that speaks to you. When you learn to harness that silence and you listen to that voice, it is so powerful. And when you listen to that voice, it guides you. But to do that, you need to give that love, that compassion, that trust yourself. And to believe that that voice is going to guide me, I trust it. If you can do that, you are opening yourself to all the potential that is sitting within you.
How wonderful. Listen, ask, trust, and then follow it through.